Hello all, I am the Holland Phantom, and for today's video we're going to be having a live battle from the Team Rocket through Legendary Collection format. On one side, we've got the Dark Gengar deck going up against the Crobat deck on the other side, so we'll see which of these two decks can take the victory today. But before we begin, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and to my Twitter account at Holland_Phantom so you don't miss out on any new Pokemon TCG content. And now with that out of the way, let's get into the battle. And here we go, the battle has started, with both players flipping over their starting Pokemon. On the Gengar side, we've got Ghastly as the active Pokemon, and on the Crobat side, we've got Cleffa as the active Pokemon. The Crobat side is going first, attaching an energy to Cleffa and then activating Pokemon Trader, swapping out a Pichu from the hand for a Zubat from the deck. And as Zubat comes down onto the bench, it's going to be the main attacker once it evolves into Crobat in a couple of turns. And now the player activates Professor Elm. They get to shuffle their hand away to draw 7 brand new cards, but now they can't activate any more trainer cards for the rest of the turn. There are the cards being drawn. Let's see if they get any more basic Pokemon to put onto their bench. Actually, that's going to be it for the first turn. Over to the Gengar side now. The player attaches a Psychic Energy to their Ghastly and a Focus Band. There's the attack. The player has to flip a coin when they try to attack into a baby Pokemon. If they get a heads, they can attack, otherwise their turn ends. The attack did go through, so Lick inflicts 10 damage and also paralyzes Cleffa, so now it cannot attack or retreat for this turn. The Zubat now evolves into a Golbat, which then gets a Grass-type energy. And that's going to be it! No more cards are played. Quickly back over to the Dark Gengar side. Okay, the player's going to be activating their own Pokemon Trader, swapping out a Ghastly from their hand for any Pokemon from the deck. And it's going to be a Cleffa. So now both players have access to Cleffa. It's going to be one of the best attackers in this format, letting players dig through their deck with its Eek attack. And now Cleffa jumps into the active spot, gets a Psychic Energy. And now the player's going to be trying to attack. Let's see if it gets through the baby power. And they get a heads. So the attack is a success. They get to shuffle their hand away and draw 7 new cards. It's the exact same effect as Professor Elm. Back over to the Crobat side. Let's see if they have the Crobat. Another Cleffa comes down onto the bench. Golbat gets a second Grass Energy. It's almost fully powered up once it evolves into its final form. There's another Pokemon Trader swapping out a Golbat from the hand for the Crobat. There it is. Like I said, it just needs one more energy to start using its second attack. The next trainer card is going to be Rocket Sneak Attack, looking at their opponent's hand. And now they can shuffle a trainer card back into the deck, and the chosen one is going to be Professor Elm, which is a huge disruption, as Professor Elm is important to draw more cards out of the deck. And there's the attack. The player's going to try to use Eek from their Cleffa. Oh, but they got a tail, so nothing happens. The turn ends, and now over to the Gengar side. Ghastly gets a second Psychic-type energy, and no more cards are played. The player tries to use their own Eek attack. Oh, but they also get a tails. So no attacks from either player on the previous 2 turns. On the Crobat side, Crobat gets a Focus Band. Oh, but they did not have the third energy card. Crobat cannot attack yet, so Cleffa tries to attack. And the attack does go through. The player gets a heads on the coin flip. They shuffle their hand away to draw another 7 cards. Hopefully they get the final energy card that they need for their Crobat. And on the Gengar side, Ghastly gets a third Psychic Energy, so it's fully powered up. But it still has not evolved. Cleffa attacks with Eek once again. The player gets a heads on the coin flip to shuffle and draw 7 cards. They still need 2 more turns to evolve into a Gengar. So they're pretty far behind. Okay, the Crobat side. Crobat gets a third Grass-type energy. It is now fully powered up, and the player activates Double Gust. Both players choose a benched Pokemon on their opponent's side to bring into the active spot. So Ghastly comes up along with the Cleffa, but now Cleffa retreats for free to promote the Crobat, and Crobat might be taking the first KO this turn. There's the Professor Elm coming through before the attack. Once again, shuffling the hand away to draw another 7 cards. Between Professor Elm and Cleffa, the decks in this format had a lot of consistency. Okay, there's the attack. Cross attack. The player gets to flip 4 coins and deal 20 damage for each heads. Here we go. That's... Oh, it's only 1 heads! So the damage only does... Sorry, the attack only does 20 damage. Ghastly still has 30 HP remaining. Now Hoothoot and a second Cleffa come down on the Gengar side, followed by their own Professor Elm to shuffle their hand away. There's the 7 new cards. The player really has to start evolving this Ghastly before it gets KO'd. Let's see what they can do. The Hoothoot is also an important Pokemon in this deck. It doesn't really attack, but it uses its Pokemon power when it evolves into Noctowl to disrupt the opponent's hand. And there we go! Dark Haunter finally comes down, but the player still needs at least one more turn to get Dark Gengar into play. Cleffa comes back into the active spot to use its attack Eek. They shuffle their hand away to draw another 7 cards once again. And hopefully stall a turn. There we see another Rocket Sneak attack. Oh, and the player has another Professor Elm, but still no Dark Gengar. So the Professor Elm gets shuffled away from the Gengar player's hand. And let's see if Crobat can take the KO against his Cleffa. There's the attack. Here's the coin flip for the baby power. Okay, they get ahead, so the attack does go through. And now they're going to be flipping 4 coins to see how much damage it deals. And that's going to be 2 heads for a total of 40 damage. Enough to take the KO, and the first prize goes to Crobat. The second Cleffa comes into the active spot now. A second Ghastly comes down into the bench. A Psychic Energy comes down to the active Cleffa. Do they have the Gengar? No, they don't! There's another Eek attack from the Cleffa. Drawing another 7 cards out of the deck. They are really far behind. They still have not dealt any damage to the Crobat side. Another Zubat comes down, which then gets a Grass-type energy. The player's going to be setting up a second Crobat just in case this active one does get KO'd. And there's the next attack. Does the attack go through? And yes, it does. There's the heads on a coin flip, and now let's see how much damage is going to be dealing. The player needs 2 heads to take the KO. And they got 3, dealing 60 damage to the Cleffa, taking another KO, and that is 2 prizes taken by the Crobat side. Dark Gengar needs to come out now. Okay, Ghastly comes into the active spot. Another Cleffa comes down to the bench. And there's a Pokemon Trader swapping out the Mischievous from the hand. So we should be seeing the Gengar. Finally, there it is. And Gengar also hits Crobat for weakness. So she'd be taking some pretty quick KOs. A Psychic Energy comes down to the active Dark Haunter that just came down. And there's Professor Elm. The player shuffles her hand again. Shuffles her hand away again to draw another 7 cards. They still don't have any Noctowl out, though. But at least they got their attacker. Oh, speaking of which, there it is. The first Noctowl comes down. It activates its Pokemon power, Glaring Gaze. The player gets a heads on the coin flip, and now they could look at their opponent's hand and shuffle one of their trainer cards away. So it's pretty much the exact same thing as the Rocket Sneak attack. There's a couple of trainers to choose from, and the player chooses Chaos Gym. It's a really powerful stadium card that the player does not want to see just yet. And now Dark Haunter is going to be retreating to promote Dark Gengar to finally start dealing some damage. There's the attack. Pull in, targeting the benched Zubat to bring it into the active spot, and then hitting it for weakness to take the one-hit KO, and Gengar finally takes their first prize card. Okay, on the Crobat side, no cards are played. They're going straight for the attack. Cross attack, flipping 4 coins. And it's 3 heads. Dealing 60 damage, enough to take the KO. But there's the Focus Band activating. The player gets to flip a coin. If they get heads, Gengar is not knocked out. And yes, Gengar is going to be spared for one more turn with 10 HP remaining. So let's see what the player can do with this turn. Oh, also, yeah, Gengar is confused by the cross attack. Okay, the Gengar player now activates Double Gust. So the new active Pokemon are going to be Hoothoot going up against the Cleffa. And now that Gengar is on the bench, it is no longer confused. Next we see the trainer card, Imposter Oak's Revenge, discarding a card from the hand to force the opponent to shuffle their hand away to draw 4 cards. It's a really disruptive card in this format, plus the player still has access to their Noctowl to possibly get rid of another trainer card from their hand. Okay, there's a Noctowl ability. Here's the coin flip. Let's see if it works. And yes, it does. It's going to be a heads. The player has 2 trainers in hand, Imposter Oak's Revenge and Rocket Sneak Attack. What's it going to be? Okay, it's going to be the Rocket Sneak Attack card being shuffled back into the deck. So the Crobat player is down to just 3 cards in hand. There we see another Double Gust, bringing the Crobat back into the active spot. The player had to burn through 2 Double Gust cards. But it does mean that Dark Gengar is no longer confused. It's free to attack. Another Psychic Energy comes down to the Dark Haunter on the bench. And there's a Goldberry coming down to the active Gengar. There's the attack. Pull in. Hitting Crobat for 60 damage and also putting it to sleep. And now because of Dark Gengar's Pokemon power, Crobat has to flip 2 coins in between turns to wake up. The Goldberry heals 40 damage off the Gengar, and there's the 2 coin flips. And the player gets the double heads. So Crobat does wake up, and it should be able to attack this turn. Okay, let's see what they can do. They might be able to take the KO against Gengar if they get 3 heads on this attack. Here we go. Oh, but it's only going to be 1! Cross attack only deals 20 damage, and also does not inflict confusion. Confusion only comes in if the player gets at least 2 heads on the coin flips. Okay, the Noctowl activates its ability again, shuffling the last trainer card away from the Crobat player's hand. And I think all they had left was just 3 grass energies. Things are not looking good for the Crobat player. There's another pull-in attack. Should be enough to take the KO against Crobat, but they do have a Focus Band. Let's see if Crobat can be saved. Here's a coin flip, and it's going to be heads! Crobat is not knocked out. It's down to just 10 HP remaining, but it does fall asleep again. Let's see if it can wake up between turns. Here's the coin flips. Oh, but it's only going to be 1 heads this time, so Crobat remains asleep. It cannot attack. There we go. Professor Elm comes down to shuffle the player's hand away to draw 7 brand new cards. They need to start powering up another attacker on the bench, because this Crobat will be getting KO'd on the following turn. Okay, there we go. Another Zubat comes down onto the bench. It gets a Grass-type energy. And that's going to be it. Player passes a turn. Here's the coin flips. And it's double heads. Crobat wakes up, but it's a little too late, as Gengar should be able to take the KO. There we go. Let's see if there's any more evolutions coming down for the Gengar side. Not yet. There we see Glaring Gaze coming through from the Noctowl. What was it? Okay, it's going to be a Tails that time. Nothing happens. No cards are played. There's the attack. Pull in, taking the KO against Crobat. And now both sides are tied. 4 prizes remaining apiece. Although for now the advantage is on the Gengar side. Again, the Crobat side. Zubat evolves into Golbat, gets a full heal energy, along with the Focus Band. And there's the attack coming through from the Cleffa. To shuffle the hand away, drawing another 7 cards, the player needs another Crobat and another energy to start powering up this Golbat and attacking on the following turn. Quickly back over to the Gengar side, another Noctowl comes down, and now both of them activate their Pokemon powers. Here's the 2 coin flips. And they're both heads. They can get rid of 2 trainer cards from their opponent's hand. Okay, they have 3 to choose from, so they're going to be choosing the Imposter Oak's Revenge and Rocket Sneak Attack, both of the Disruption trainers, to shuffle back in. Also, I didn't see any Crobat in the player's hand, so Golbat might not be able to evolve. Okay, there's the attack. Let's see if it gets through. Here's the coin flip. And it's going to be a heads, so Cleffa is going to be knocked out. Oh, but actually the player's going to be choosing the Golbat on the bench to drag into the active spot. It is going to be taking 60 damage due to weakness, so let's see if the Focus Man can save it. Oh, but it does not work. The player gets a Tails on the coin flip, meaning that Golbat is KO'd, and Gengar takes their 3rd prize card. The Crobat player still does not have an attacker. They're really falling behind. Okay, let's see what they can do. There's a Rocket Sneak Attack. And on the opponent's hand, they have 2 Rocket Sneak Attack. One of them gets shuffled away. And the other trainer card was Good Manners, I believe. And what else can they do? Here we see a Pichu coming down. Actually, 2 Pichu coming down. One of them is going to be getting a Grass Energy. And Pichu is going to be the attacker. It comes into the active spot. And there's the attack, Zap, hitting every Pokemon with the Pokemon power for 20 damage apiece. Which means that Gengar and both of the Noctowl are damaged. And if this Pichu is not KO'd on this following turn, it can take the KO against the Dark Gengar. There's both of the Glaring Gaze abilities activating again. going to be another double heads. Oh, but there's only one trainer card in the opponent's hand. A double gust gets shuffled back in. The final card was just a grass energy. There's the attack, pull in. Let's see if it can take the KO against his Pichu. And it's going to be a Tails! Nothing happens, so Pichu is going to be able to take the KO against his Gengar. And just for good measure, Pichu also gets a Focus Band, and the one on the bench gets its own grass energy. There's the attack, another Zap, taking the KO against Gengar to take the third prize, and both Noctowl are down to just 20 HP remaining. They're both within KO range of Pichu's attack on the following turn. Now Dark Haunter comes into the active spot. It still needs one more Psychic Energy and the Dark Gengar to start attacking again. There's both of the Noctowl abilities. There's only going to be one heads, but the player only has a Cleffa in hand, so nothing else happens. Another Hoothoot comes down to the bench, and there's the attack. Surround. Let's see if it's going to deal some damage. Oh, but it's a Tails! Nothing happens to Pichu once again, so it should be able to take the KO against both of the Noctowl on the bench. No cards are played by the Crobat player. Going straight for the Zap attack, taking the KO against both Noctowl, taking 2 prizes. And now the Crobat player is down to just 1 prize remaining. Okay, the Gengar player activates Rocket Sneak Attack to shuffle away a Chaos Gem from their opponent's hand. It looks like Pichu's going to be the MVP of this game. There's Professor Elm to shuffle the hand away, drawing another 7 cards. Let's see if the player gets a Psychic Energy and the final Gengar. Did they get it? Yes, there it is, and the energy! So Gengar can attack. There's pull in. Here's the coin flip to see if it works. And yes, it does. Targeting the benched Pichu to get around the Focus Band. Taking the KO and taking the 4th prize card. Dark Gengar is now catching up. There we see an Imposter Oak's Revenge coming through from the Crobat player, discarding the Cleffa from the hand to shuffle their opponent's hand away to give them only 4 cards, trying to slow them down as much as possible. And now Pichu has to attack 4 times to take the KO against his Gengar. Let's see if it can survive for that long. There's the Zap attack. Like I said, only dealing 20 damage. On the Gengar side, another Ghastly comes down, gets a Psychic type energy. And there's the Stadium card, Rocket's Hideout, giving Dark Gengar an extra 20 HP. And now the pull-in attack does go through the Baby Power, targeting down the active Pichu. There's the Focus Band, let's see if it works. Oh, but it's going to be another Tails! Which means that Pichu is going to be KO'd, and Gengar takes her 5th prize card. Both sides are tied, and 1 prize remaining apiece. The next KO will decide this game. A Zubat comes down on the Crobat side, gets a Grass Energy, and now Cleffa attacks with Eek. Shuffling the hand away to draw another 7 cards, the player needs at least 2 more turns to evolve up into a Crobat and take the KO against this Gengar. Let's see if Cleffa can stall out with its Baby Power for 2 more turns. Dark Gengar gets a Gold Berry, and the player activates another Professor Elm. There's going to be another 7 cards being drawn. Really, all they need to do is just roll... flip a heads on the coin flip to take the KO against any Pokemon on the opposing side. But just in case, they're still setting up their side of the field. Okay, another Noctowl comes down, but its ability does not activate. There's the attack pull in. Here's the coin flip. Oh, and it's a Tails! But it will buy the Crobat player at least 1 more turn. Let's see what they can do with it. The Zubat gets another Grass Energy. And now it evolves into Golbat. The player just needs 1 more turn to evolve into the Crobat with the final energy. There's another Imposter Oak's Revenge. Once again forcing the opponent to shuffle their hand away and draw 4 cards. Can Cleffa survive? Just 1 more turn. There's a Nightly Garbage Run to get a Pichu, actually 2 Pichu, and a Crobat from the discard pile back into the deck. And a new stadium comes down, Chaos Gym, to get rid of the Rocket's Hideout. And there's the attack, Eek. Shuffling the hand away, drawing 7 new cards. If the player can get the Crobat and Grass Energy, they can start attacking on the following turn. But only if Cleffa can survive for 1 more turn with its Baby Power. Let's see what happens. There's Noctowl's ability, Glaring Gaze. Here's the coin flip. And it's going to be another Tails. Nothing happens. Galaxy's going to be getting another Psychic Energy. And there's the attack. Let's see if it goes through. Here's the coin flip. And it's going to be a heads! Poland takes a KO against Cleffa to take the final prize card. And there's the handshake. Dark Gengar is your winner. So what did you guys think of that battle? Let me know down in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow and reach new viewers. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, this is the Holland Phantom logging out.